Dr. Sarah Chen knelt in the red dust of Kepler 442b, her gloved hands carefully extracting soil samples from beneath a cluster of purple crystalline formations. The alien sun hung low on the horizon, casting long shadows across the rocky terrain. She had been on this planet for 3 months now, part of humanity's first deep space colonial survey team, and every day brought new wonders that made her forget how far from Earth she truly was. The tug on her coat came suddenly, gentle but insistent. Sarah froze. Her heart hammered against her ribs as training kicked in. Rule number 1 on alien worlds: unexpected contact means potential danger. She slowly turned her head, expecting to see one of her team members playing a prank, or perhaps some equipment caught on the fabric. Instead, she found herself staring into 6 bright amber eyes. The creature was small, perhaps the size of a large dog, but its body structure screamed apex predator. Sleek, midnight blue fur covered corded muscles that rippled beneath the surface. Its head was broad and angular, with a pronounced jaw that housed rows of sharp teeth she could see even with its mouth closed. 4 powerful legs ended in retractable claws that had already left small tears in her reinforced jacket. A long tail swished behind it nervously, the tip forked like a serpent's tongue. By every measure of xenobiology Sarah had studied, this was a killing machine. The creature's proportions, its forward-facing eyes, the way it held itself low and balanced, everything indicated a hunter born and bred. The predator cub tugged her coat again, more gently this time. Its eyes never left hers. Sarah's mind raced through protocols. She should activate her distress beacon. She should slowly back away. She should do anything except what she found herself doing, which was smiling. The smile came unbidden, natural, the same way she might smile at a nervous puppy. There was something in those 6 eyes, something beyond the alien geometry of the face. Intelligence, yes, but also uncertainty. Fear, perhaps. The creature was young, she realized. The proportions were slightly off, the movements not quite coordinated. This was a juvenile, possibly separated from its pack or family group. "Hey there, little one," Sarah whispered, keeping her voice soft and steady. "You lost." The creature's ears, she noticed them now, swept back fins along the side of its skull, twitched at the sound of her voice. It released her coat and took 1 step backward, haunches lowering, body coiling. Sarah recognized the posture. She had seen it 1,000 times in Earth animals. The creature was preparing to either flee or attack, every muscle tensed and ready. One wrong move from her would trigger a response. Instead of moving away, Sarah did something that defied every survival instinct, every piece of xenobiological training she had received. She slowly reached up and removed her helmet. The alien atmosphere was breathable, barely, though it left a metallic taste on her tongue and made her slightly lightheaded. But she needed the creature to see her face, to read her expression without the barrier of reflective plasteel. She smiled again, wider this time, and slowly lowered herself to sit cross-legged in the dust. The predator cub's eyes widened, all 6 of them focusing intently on her face. Its body remained coiled, ready to spring, but something changed in its posture. The tail stopped swishing quite so frantically. The ears rotated forward, attentive rather than pinned back in fear or aggression. "That's it," Sarah murmured. "I'm not going to hurt you. See, I'm just sitting here." The creature took a tentative step forward, then another. It moved with the fluid grace of a born hunter, each paw placed with careful precision. When it was close enough that Sarah could have reached out and touched it, the creature did something extraordinary. It sat down. Not a casual sit, not a predator settling before a pounce. The creature lowered its hindquarters, tucked its tail around its legs, and held its body perfectly upright and still. The posture was so deliberate, so controlled, that it reminded Sarah of military dogs she had seen back on Earth, sitting at attention before their handlers. "Well," Sarah breathed, barely daring to move. "Aren't you something special?" The creature's head tilted slightly, processing her words or perhaps her tone. Then, slowly, deliberately, it raised one front paw and extended it toward her. Sarah stared at the offered paw, her scientific mind struggling to process what she was seeing. This was not instinctive behavior. This was learned, trained behavior. The precision of the movement, the expectant look in those amber eyes, the patient waiting, all of it spoke to conditioning and intelligence far beyond what they had expected to find on this world. She reached out and gently took the paw in her gloved hand. The creature's claws were retracted, the pads of its paw warm even through her glove. They stayed like that for a long moment, human and alien locked in a gesture of greeting that transcended species. "Sarah, do you copy? Your biosigns are spiking. What's your status?" Commander Rodriguez's voice crackled through her suit's internal speaker, making both Sarah and the creature jump. The creature pulled its paw back and lowered into a defensive crouch, a low rumbling emanating from its chest. "I'm fine, Commander," Sarah said quickly, keeping her eyes on the creature and her voice calm. "I've made contact with a native life form. Juvenile, appears non-hostile." "Appears non-hostile?" "Sarah, your video feed shows something that looks like it could bite through steel plating. Get back to the rover now." "Negative, Commander. I need you to trust me on this." This creature is displaying trained behavior patterns. Someone or something has taught it discipline. The silence on the other end stretched for several seconds. Sarah could imagine Rodriguez arguing with the other team members, checking protocols, weighing risks against the potential for first contact with intelligent alien life. "You have 5 minutes," Rodriguez finally said. "And Sarah, if that thing so much as bares its teeth wrong, you activate your emergency shield and get out of there. Understood?" "Understood, Commander." Sarah turned her full attention back to the creature, which had relaxed slightly during the exchange, though it remained alert and watchful. She slowly reached into one of her suit's pouches and pulled out a protein bar, part of her field rations. The creature's nostrils flared, all 6 eyes focusing on the bar with laser intensity. Its body tensed again, but differently this time. This was anticipation, not fear. Sarah unwrapped the bar and broke off a small piece, holding it out on her palm. "Hungry?" The creature lunged forward so fast Sarah barely had time to process the movement, but instead of attacking, it delicately plucked the piece of protein bar from her hand with surprising gentleness. The morsel disappeared in seconds, and the creature looked up at her expectantly, mouth slightly open in what might have been a smile. Sarah laughed, the sound startling in the thin alien air. Okay. But you need to work for it." She held up another piece and, operating purely on instinct and years of working with earth animals, raised her other hand with one finger extended. "Sit." The creature sat immediately, that same perfect military posture, body straight, tail tucked, eyes focused entirely on her. Sarah felt her breath catch. This was impossible. The creature couldn't understand English, couldn't have been trained by humans. Yet here it was, responding to commands like a perfectly trained service animal. She gave it the piece of protein bar, and the creature accepted it with the same gentle precision. As it chewed, Sarah noticed something she had missed before. Around the creature's neck, barely visible beneath the thick fur, was a band of lighter coloration, as if something had been worn there for a long time and then removed. A collar. "You belong to someone, don't you?" Sarah whispered, reaching out slowly to touch the marking. The creature allowed it, even leaning slightly into her touch. "Someone taught you, trained you, cared for you, but where are they?" As if in answer to her question, a sound echoed across the rocky plains. It was melodious and strange, a series of rising and falling tones that seemed to come from everywhere at once. The creature's head snapped up, ears rotating to focus on the sound. It stood quickly and looked back and forth between Sarah and the direction of the sound, clearly torn. Sarah understood. "You need to go home." The creature took several steps away, then stopped and looked back at her. Those 6 amber eyes held an expression Sarah would have sworn was regret. Then the creature did something that would stay with Sarah for the rest of her life. It walked back to her, pressed its broad head against her chest in a gentle gesture of affection, and then turned and sprinted away across the red plains. Sarah watched it go, a dark blue streak against the crimson landscape, until it disappeared over a ridge. She sat there in the dust, protein bar forgotten in her hand, her mind racing with implications. Intelligent life on Kepler 442b. Not just intelligent, but advanced enough for animal husbandry, for training, for creating bonds between species. And somewhere out there, someone was probably very worried about their lost pet. "Sarah, are you hurt? Report." Rodriguez's voice pulled her back to reality. Sarah picked up her helmet and stood, brushing red dust from her suit. "I'm fine, Commander. Better than fine." She looked toward the ridge where the creature had disappeared. "I think we need to revise our mission parameters. We're not alone on this world, and whoever else is here, they're more like us than we ever imagined." As Sarah made her way back to the rover, she thought about that perfect sitting posture, that gentle paw shake, the trained discipline wrapped in a predator's body. Somewhere on this alien world, someone was teaching their children, or their companions, or their protectors to be both fierce and gentle, to be both wild and controlled. And that someone had just sent their lost cub home with a memory of a strange alien who had smiled instead of feared, who had offered food instead of threat, who had understood that even the sharpest teeth could belong to the gentlest heart. Sarah touched her chest where the creature had pressed its head, feeling the slight tears in the fabric, permanent reminders of first contact. She smiled again, wider this time, already composing her report and imagining the conversations to come. The universe had just gotten a lot more interesting and a lot more familiar, all because a predator cub had tugged her coat and she had chosen to smile.